You're tuned to KSJE, Farmington, New Mexico, 90.9 FM. And now 103.3 FM, K277CR, Durango, Colorado.
Hi, welcome to Cop Shop. I'm Nicole Brown, the Public Information Officer for the Farmington Police Department. And with me is Chief Hebbe, our fearless leader.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't think I quite pulled that off the same.
It was a great try.
Yes.
A for effort.
Hello, everyone. So we are back. It's been a busy couple of weeks for us at the PD, and we're going to talk some of the stuff that we've had going on. And but first, let's talk a little bit about you, Nicole.
A little bit about me?
We don't share all the intricacies of Nicole with our audience.
Boring.
Nicole's been doing several different things here over the last few weeks. She's obviously our public information officer and doubles as a radio DJ co-star, which is
at the mighty KSJE.
At the mighty KSJE newsroom with Scott Michlin. But she has also been, over the last few weeks, doing some double duty. She's been getting herself recertified and retrained over at dispatch. Dispatch numbers are lower, and they are working a lot of overtime, and it's a critical area for law enforcement. So we've supported Nicole as she's gone to get recertified, and she's been back in the dispatch center doing something she hasn't done for 2.5 years now.
Yeah, almost 3. And it's been fun. I got to work the Farmington PD channel for 10 hours the other day, and it was so much fun.
Well, that's good.
I forgot how much I loved that job, but no, they're just really short-staffed, and they're such a vital part of public safety that people often don't think about, because they see, paramedics and firefighters and officers all the time, but you never see a 911 dispatcher, and you never think about them until you need one, and you hope that the person on the other line is highly trained and professional and is going to help you. So they're so vital, and right now the ones that we do have working there are working a lot of overtime, and they're spending a lot of time away from their families to serve our community. And I thought, man, I'd really like to help them. I'd really like to support them however I can. So if I can just pick up a couple shifts here and there, and that way they get a little bit of time off and a little rest, and so that they're fresh for all you out there.
So that is that's a couple of different plugs. First of all, that's actually the attitude and work ethic of Nicole, that she wants to dive in and help out when she sees a need, and that's actually a characteristic of people that get into these professions. So the second phase of that is if that's your kind of trait, you're somebody that likes to dive in and help out. Dispatch center needs help. They need applicants. They're hiring right now. There's good people like Nicole. You'll maybe even get a guest shot on the Cop Shop at some point. Who knows?
Maybe
make that part of the recruiting push.
We'll just welcome you right on.
Yeah.
You can tell us all about the training process.
That's right. We'll walk you through it. Maybe we have cameras kind of follow you around as you go through the training. But seriously, they do need dispatchers. Dispatch is a vital part of the whole 911 system. To get the cop there in the first place, it starts with the dispatchers. So Nicole is back working some overtime to kind of give them a break, but that's just a kind of stopgap measure. We need good people to put in for that job and come join us working for public safety.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you're at all thinking about it, give dispatch a call. I think they'd be glad to talk with you about what the job entails and what the training would look like, and we could sure use you. But then you're also doing something else. You're now taking college classes.
I am, after a long vacation from that. I won't say how many years, but several.
Been just a couple.
Just a few. I am. I'm taking classes and relearning some things at dispatch. And this job, being the PIO, always has me learning new things. So I am...
I'm not that demanding, though.
Doing a lot. No.
I mean, it's never kind of a breeze.
This is the most wonderful.
So because it's so easy working for me, she's able to go and do all these other things, too. So that's, what a plug right there.
Yeah, I'm feeling, you know what, you will be so happy to hear.
Huh.
Because of all of my extra stuff, I'm not riding my horse
Oh,
as much as I was before. So
That's the clincher right there, folks.
maybe I need to rethink all of this.
There you go.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like you pushed me into this.
There you go. And now it's time to start selling the horses. So if you're in the market for a horse,
That's not
get
true.
hold of Nicole,
Nope.
and we'll see what we can arrange
I don't
for
have
you.
any for sale.
And she's actually a little busy, so maybe call me, and I'll see what I can work out on
He
the
knows
side.
nothing about them.
I know they cost $50 a piece.
Oh, that's cute.
So anyway, other than selling her life out from under her, I think we've had a nice start to our radio show this week.
Yeah.
So let's talk about...
Can we talk about football?
No, we're not going to do that to Scott.
To Scott. Okay.
The Mighty Pack did not prevail in a heartbreaking fashion. It was disgusting to watch. Our defense played great. The 49ers beat us. It's unbelievable. And then I don't watch football after the Packers are eliminated. I usually take a week or two of kind of depression leave. And I went through that, but I missed Scott's team, which apparently played one of the better games in NFL history. Only it's never one of those great games when your team loses, ultimately.
True. And it was sad. Very, very sad.
I heard Josh Allen played well.
Played very well. Well, they both played well. I think both quarterbacks were touted as playing a really good game, and that's what made it so enjoyable to watch, except if you're a Bills fan for the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a lot
Or
of
13
defense
seconds.
in the final couple of minutes.
Defense was troubling.
A little spotty.
But I think it could have gone either way. It did go either way in that last 2 minutes, and so I think it was a respectable game. As a Bills fan, I felt at least that they put up a good fight, and I think they are looking good for next year.
So
We'll
honestly,
see.
the Bills are a team you kind of do root for. They haven't had a whole lot of success in the last 2 decades or so, maybe even 3 decades.
Thanks for pointing that out.
So they're one you are kind of rooting for. But another one, honestly, is the Rams. Although the Rams have had some success, Matthew Stafford comes from Detroit Lions. He has endured some horrific years, and I don't know that he'd ever won a playoff game in his whole career until he's finally here with the Rams. So he's getting a shot to do it. Knocked off Tom Brady. So we'll see. There's still a lot of football. I just won't watch it. So.
Yes.
Oh, that's sad.
But you are going to watch it.
I did not watch the Packers game, but I did watch the Bills game.
Really?
Yeah.
Very good.
And it was pretty exciting. It was what a playoff game should be. It was fun to watch.
It's what a playoff game should be from somebody who never watches football.
No, I absolutely watch playoffs. Like, I just don't have a team that I root for, so the whole season feels kind of pointless until it's the playoffs, and then it's fun.
The season's pointless. It's like saying, geez, when we build the first floor of the house, it seems pointless until we build the second floor. But it won't be that as it may. We'll move on to other topics.
Okay.
But let's give her credit. She actually did bring up the subject,
Thank
and she was doing her part to push the narrative.
Yes, yes.
One of the things that we had over the last couple of weeks, we had the shooting of Officer Barretto, and he has made some very good progress. We're looking forward to having him back. He's coming back on light duty starting Monday, and we've got some assignments for him related to the training division. I think he's going to help us out there, but I was over visiting him and his wife and his child today. A lot of energy from their son.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Holy cow. When you get just a little older, you enter that grandparent mode where, okay, I'm glad somebody younger can handle this pressure. Because there was a lot of energy. But Joseph was in great spirits. His wife was too. Quite a bit of laughing. And he's making the best of the situation. And he doesn't really know how it'll ultimately go with the elbow. But he's working to get himself back, and he's healing decently enough, so enough that he can come back to work with us on a light duty basis. So we're very excited about that.
That is exciting, and it's so good to hear that he's in good spirits and things are still going well. Because kind of at first, it's all such a whirlwind that you don't really know where you're going to land. And as things kind of calm down, it's good to know that he's still got a good support system, still feeling good about things and ready to come back.
It was funny because we all went through it, but but it happened to him. So then you have your own little unique perspective on it. So he was telling me that he was reading through some of the newspaper articles about what had happened, because he didn't know all the manhunt. He didn't know all the details of everything that had gone on that night. He was in the hospital and was there for a few days. So just his little niche of the story was, this happened to me, and then I'm largely out of it for the next couple of days while so many law enforcement agencies were scrambling around trying to find the suspect in that. So, we talked a little bit about what had gone on over those few days that he missed. But I think he's looking forward to getting back into the policing world and coming back to work.
That's good to hear. And that is interesting to talk about the perspective. I attended a class one time at a conference by an officer that was shot when they were doing the search for the Boston marathon bombers, and should have died, but everything that kind of happened really intervened. And he talks about how he has no recollection. So the story that he told, he had to have the sergeant that kind of saved his life, who was also a trained paramedic, tell the story with him, because he has no memory of any of it. And it's interesting how they have to fill in the gaps of what happened to them, because it was so wild and traumatic that they can't fill it in.
Yeah. For Joseph, he does remember the event and knows what he did, and knows the female that was along with the suspect at the time that the suspect shot Joseph. But then he's just he's out of circulation. He's at the hospital. He's worried about his injuries and the surgeries and the things that he went through. And so we caught up. I was glad he was in such good spirits too, and that his family was. So the family was was laughing, and there was lots of energy. 3-year-old is going to bring that anyway.
That's entertaining.
Yeah, that it was entertaining. So it was good to see Joseph, and there's an update for you, and I know so many of you followed him and supported him through social media and even donations to the GoFundMe for him, and he's appreciative of all of that, and so are we. So
definitely. And speaking of, we're hiring.
We are hiring.
We need good guys.
We need good guys and girls.
Just like Barretto.
Yeah. So, if you are, just like with the dispatch, if you're interested in a career in law enforcement, really, I think what you're seeing across the nation is that narrative has changed. And we've been talking about that for about 6 months or so, that you could see the beginnings of it change as we neared an election year, as crime reports from across the country looked bad. The public was going to become more afraid and more supportive of the police than maybe it looked like in 2020. And 2020 was a miserable year. There's no doubt about it. There was a hard anti-cop narrative and on all sorts of circles. But I think really what you've seen, here's what you don't hear when you turn on the TV: defund the police. Not seeing those protests. You're not seeing those ads and those commercials reimagine policing. I think people are just reimagining being safe when they go about their business, and that's dependent on men and women volunteering to be police officers. And so we are hiring. I know the sheriff's office is too. But if you're at all interested in being a police officer, just like our recruiting video says, now's the time. We need good people now. Not when times are good. This is like our call to arms. We need you to give the department a call, and we'll be glad to walk you through the whole interview and application process and let you know what a career with FPD looks like.
So the city is holding a hiring event at the Civic Center on February 7th and 8th, and we will have some of our recruiters there at the hiring event. So it's a great opportunity if you're not sure. It's a great opportunity to come down and ask some questions, and we can, schedule a convenient time for you to talk more with the recruiter or to schedule testing, and you can kind of get a better idea, better feel for the department, and if it's something that you're really passionate about. And then, there's going to be plenty of other city departments there, so if we're not a fit for you, maybe you can find another way to serve your community by working for the city in a different department. But it's going to be a big event, so come out.
Come on out. Hat in hand with that, then, was this last week, I was talking with the city council about our crime stats here in Farmington. I can tell you I'm not really a huge stat guy, because when stats look great and you're throwing a parade for yourself, it's good for that moment, and then later on when the numbers change, now it's not a parade anymore, and now you're stuck with those results. But the numbers are what they are right now, and so here in Farmington, Scott's putting those numbers up actually on KSJE's site. Our numbers were significantly down over the last 5-year average. And so that was some of the things that we talked about with City Council. I know folks are turning on Fox News or CNN, and they're seeing, lots of crime, and there is lots of crime in parts of the country. And really, I think those parts are large pockets, but those large pockets are not affecting Farmington. Our significant reductions in burglaries is notable. These are tough days. We had the whole catch and release discussion, the criminal justice reform on the bail process, and what would that do in our community? And there are aspects of it that are concerning and remain concerning. But in general, our crime numbers have declined. And so if you look on the KSJE site, it starts with our calls for service numbers are down, our report numbers are down, our arrests are down a little bit, but we're still pretty busy in that category. But when you look at our robberies, our robbery rate, I believe, is down 20%, if I'm not mistaken. And I think we're down like 53% as far as burglaries go.
And that's just an average of the burglaries. So that includes, residential burglaries, burglaries of businesses and vehicles. So each of those categories has their own kind of drop, but just the average of all three of them is a 53% decrease, which is huge.
That is huge. And the Autoberg one in particular is one that, honestly, the public controls more than the police. So although I'm quick to praise the police and the effort of our officers, in reality it's citizens locking up their stuff. It's citizens taking their stuff in and not leaving it in their car to be stolen. And the more we do those things, we don't leave guns in the car. Those are a particular vexer for us when people break into cars and steal guns out of them. So when the citizens are rallying together and we're not leaving stuff available to be stolen, it affects crime. It affects how much opportunity there is.
Definitely. And locking up vehicles is so huge. It's simple, but people forget to do it, or they feel kind of safe in their own bubble outside their house. And then I think that technology improving and the Ring doorbells and those kind of camera doorbells and stuff like that have become so easy to install and use and so prevalent that people are using them more, and then blasting people's videos out there on social media and giving them to us when they are victims of an auto burglary. We're able to put that information out, so suspects are getting identified, and we're just doing it's easier to find those burglars. So I think that has an impact as well.
So when you're looking at, and if you didn't see the crime numbers, when we're going to do a press release, I guess, on that.
We are today. You guys are getting the scoop.
You guys are getting the scoop, the mighty KSJE listeners. But when you look through them, I think you see some of the numbers that we focus on a lot and that do catch people's attention. Homicides. The average over the last 5 years has been 5. We had 2 last year. So it looks like a massive reduction. Really, we reduced it. It is reduced from 5 to 2, and that's good. But the crimes that really impact citizens are the burglaries, the autoburgs, and even things like shoplifting when you're going to the store. And so when you look at the shoplifting stats, and I want to say we were 29% down in shoplifting, which when you're watching when you're watching some of the cable news networks, you're watching all the mass organized looting and theft that's going on the trains in LA, which is just unbelievable to watch. And then in San Francisco and some of the other California cities, you're seeing some of the mass looting. Chicago, that isn't the case here, and so some of that is due to the police. Some of that is due to the quite frankly, the fantastic P.I.O. network that we have here, and Nicole putting out good information, getting in getting folks arrested, but really it's a testament to our community. We really are all working together up here, and the result is we live in a pretty safe place. Could always be better. We're going to continue to aim to be better, but in general, honestly, these numbers are very positive.
Definitely, yeah. And it is a good reflection of our community. And I think that, policing is, while we have those that step up and they're the ones, running into danger and all of those things, it still takes a community reporting things when they see suspicious things and getting good information and being willing to be part of the court process as our officers, turn the cases over to the court. It takes all of those things to make us a safer community. So we're really grateful for the support that we get from our citizens.
And the last 2 years have been really, they've been depressing in law enforcement. There's just no way around it. I've been in it now for 31 years, and I think I've talked on this show that I've never seen it as bad as it was in 2020, and for a large part of 2021. The anti-police narrative is just incomprehensible to me. How we wind up making enemies of good kids that are just trying to do their best on the street. They screw up, yep, they do, and nobody disciplines more or fires more cops than me. But I'm telling you, in general, the people that wear the blue are just great people that you want in your community. How they came to be the enemy for a year or a year and a half, I'm not sure. But that narrative has changed. I think people are seeing it, and that narrative didn't have to change here in Farmington. We really felt strong support from our community throughout. We've had good days and bad days. I've tried to talk with you about both of those. The result, I think, is we have a good dialogue between the community and the police department. And your support for our officers is felt every day, obviously in particular during Officer Barretto's incident. But every day we feel the support. And the result is together we've created a community that you want to live in, that things are going pretty well. So it's been a busy couple of weeks. We'll talk with you again in a few other weeks and a few more weeks, and we'll talk about some of the things going on around the city. But for now, we wanted to give you a little update, and we thank you for your support. We thank you for tuning in today.
Yeah, thanks. See you next time.
Bye.
You're listening to the Cultural Beacon of the Four Corners, 90.9 FM KSJE Farmington.
But one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
Weird Worlds of Ice and Snow, this week on Planetary Radio. Welcome. I'm Matt Kaplan of the Planetary Society with more of the human adventure across our solar system and beyond. You find them throughout our solar neighborhood: planets, moons, comets, asteroids, and more, all with stuff that looks and acts like ice and snow, even if it's made of far more exotic stuff than water. We'll talk about some of them today, with a focus on Saturn's moon Enceladus. That's where Colin Meyer, Jacob Buffo, and their colleagues have modeled the thick ice and the plumes that shoot far into space from those so-called tiger stripes at the South Pole. It's entirely possible that these geysers come from much closer to the icy surface than the vast ocean that hides below. Their work also makes it to Mars and our own planet. And Bruce Betts will share a